Alright, so if you watched the previous video, you saw me get to a dead end right here. Now, what I've done in the meantime is I went through, I actually checked my work 3 times, I got to the same answer. So, it's okay to see a teacher struggle on it time to time. Here's the error I made. I had grouped it right here. And I got pretty far with that, right? But I ended up with a dead end, knowing that having an a to the third is probably not the right place. All of this work doesn't help. I needed to group it in a different way. I needed to think about it in a different way. So instead of grouping it as 2 binomials, which is what happened so many times earlier, I sort of got in a rut. I didn't recognize the square binomial that was staring me in the face. I needed to group this trinomial together. So let's factor out a -1, shall we? So that gets this term positive. So I have x to the 4th minus, and so I'm changing the sign for all of them, x squared minus 4x plus 4. Well, this is a square binomial. So I have x squared minus x minus 2 squared. And we've been through square binomials. I hope you recognize that at this point. So then I can factor this as a difference of squares, just like we had done in class today. I should have paid attention to myself. So I'm trying to move these brackets over just a little bit. Give myself some more room. All right. So we have our x squared as our first term, plus, minus. So I have my x minus 2, my x minus 2. Well, as we learned, we have to distribute that out, right? So our first term is x squared plus x minus 2. Not much I can do with that. Or is there? And then, on my other term, I have x squared minus x plus 2. And so now the question is, can either of these trinomials be factored? Well, let's double check. Let's start with the first one we have here, -2. -2 can be made by -2 times 1. -2 plus 1 would be -1. That's not the linear term. However, our linear term is the opposite of -1. So I'm betting, and you could do your divided rectangles to find out, x minus 1 times x plus 2 would multiply into that. Let's double check. -1 times 2 is -2. 2 minus 1 is 1. So it works. And then I have my x squared minus x plus 2. Now the only way to get a plus 2 is to have 2 positives or 2 negatives, and 1 plus 2 is 3, so it didn't work. So there we have it. This is as far as you can go. I'm sorry to struggle earlier, but that happens sometimes. I forgot those parentheses. And when it doesn't work out, and you know it doesn't work out, it's not time to quit. Think about the problem in a different way. In this case, I needed to group different terms together. And that's okay. That does happen. All right. And the last problem. T to the 4th minus 10t squared plus 9. This is factorable, because I know 9 has factors of 1 and 9, and 1 plus 9 is equal to 10. In this case, -1 and -9 equals -10. So I have t squared, because t squared times t squared is t to the 4th, minus 1 times t squared minus 9. Of course, they give us 2 differences of squares. Both of these are differences of squares. So we're going to end up with 4 terms here. We have t plus 1 times t minus 1 for our first difference of squares, t plus 3, t minus 3 for my second. That was super easy. Okay, I hope you guys have a good night.